Everybody tells you to review your replays, watch your matches, and figure out what went wrong. And you do it. You sit there and you watch yourself lose. And you think, okay, I see it. I got hit there. I should have blocked. Cool. You learned nothing. And today, I'm going to show you how to actually reverse engineer your losses into wins. Here's what actually happens when most people review their replays. They press play, they watch the round, and they see the moment. They got hit and they go, I should have done something different here. Maybe they watch it a couple more times. Maybe they even write it down. And then they go back online and do the exact same thing. You know why? Because you should have blocked isn't information. I should have done something different is not a plan. You're describing the problem and calling it a solution. And that's like going to someone like me, your psychologist, and I were to say to you, well, have you tried not being sad? Yeah, doc, revolutionary. Thanks. Yeah, no, it doesn't work. So the issue isn't that you're not watching your replays. The issue is the way you're watching them is fundamentally broken. You're watching start to finish like it's a movie, and you're looking at what happened. What you should be doing is reverse engineering why it happened and building a system around what to do next time. So let me show you with my words how to actually do it. So here's how you actually do this. And it's probably not what you're going to expect. I start at the end, the very last exchange of the set, the moment I lost. Not some random round in the middle, the final interaction. Something happened right there that ended it, and I want to know what the hell that was. So I look at that final exchange and I ask, what could I have done differently here? Most people stop there. They find one answer and move on. But that's layer 1 of 5, fam. Layer 2 is to stress test it. Once you find your solution, flip it around. How could my opponent have countered that? Look at the system mechanics. Look at their move list. Find the option that covers the most ground against their possible responses. Layer 3, run your risk reward. Now, for every option you are considering, what's the worst thing that happens if I'm wrong? What's the best thing that happens if I'm still wrong? How much do I gain when I'm right? You want the solutions that maximize your reward and keep that worst to best negative outcome window as tight as possible. If being wrong means you eat a launch combo into a wall splat, that's wide and it's disgusting and it's ugly and nobody wants that. If being wrong means you take a jab and reset to neutral, that's a window you can live with. It's an optimal window. Look for that. Layer 4, flip the entire risk-reward analysis now on your opponent. You just figured out how to minimize your cost of being wrong. Now ask, how do I make their cost as high as possible for trying to stop me? Because your opponent has to make a read too. They see your option and they have to decide how to counter it. And their counter has a risk reward just like yours does because it's a 2-player game. So now you're looking for the option where even if they read you correctly, the thing they have to do to stop you puts them at risk. Maybe they can counter your mix-up, but the counter is a high commitment move. Maybe they can fuzzy guard it, but if they're wrong about the timing, they eat a full combo. You want to pick the option that makes them uncomfortable for even trying to deal with you. You're not just protecting yourself, you're making yourself expensive to fight. That's the whole game right there. Minimize what it costs you to be wrong and maximize what it costs them to be right. That's just layer 4, fam. Layer 5. Go back one exchange. If the replay lets you take control of the characters, rewind one interaction. Otherwise, don't rewind the replay, just rewind the tape. Now make a different choice there and see if the whole tree restructures, and run the same risk-reward analysis on that exchange. Sometimes the best answer to a losing final exchange is putting yourself in a position where every option your opponent has is a bad trade. You're not just reviewing a replay anymore. You're reverse engineering the decision economy of the entire set. Let me break this down again, step by step. Start at the end. Find the final exchange that killed you. Find your alternative. What else could you have done right there? Stress test it. How do they counter your solution? Run your risk reward. What's the worst that happens if you're wrong? And what's the best that happens if you're still wrong? Now you're going to run their risk reward. How do you make their counter as expensive as possible? And go back one exchange, rewind rewind and reanalyze. Next, training mode. 10 focus reps per situation. Now, if you have a actual replay feature, you can take control, override, that kind of a thing, do it there instead. But after you do that, training mode. Same applies. For those of you without those kind of features, just follow along as I'm going. So 10 reps that are focused per situation. What you end up with isn't just I should have blocked. You end up with a complete map of the risk-reward landscape for that situation. Here's what this looks like in practice. Let's say the final exchange, I tried to press a button. I got counter hit. I ate a combo and died. What were my alternatives? I could have blocked. I could have backdashed. I could have jumped. How do we beat each option? Well, block's gonna lose a throw. Backdash loses to some long-range attack. And jump loses to anti-airs if you're talking about 2D fighters. Now I'm gonna run my risk reward. If I block and they throw me, what happens? I take throw damage. Maybe I get put in a corner. Maybe if it's Virtua Fighter, I get wrung out. If I block and they don't throw, I'm safe and it's my turn. If I backdash and they catch me, I get a full combo. If I backdash and they whiff, I get the whiff punish. If I jump and they anti-air me, I take damage. If I jump and they don't anti-air, if you're playing 2D fighting game again, I get a jump-in combo. Run their risk reward. Beat my block, get the throw, but now my jump-in beats their throw for big damage if you're playing a 2D game again. To beat my backdash, let's go back. In Virtua Fighter, I would just attack to beat their throw, right? To beat my backdash, they have to commit to a long-range move or get whipped. To beat my jump, it's again 2D fighters, they have to anti-air, and which is timing dependent. And if they're late, I get a full combo. Now I'm looking for the option where their counter is going to put them at the most risk. Go back one exchange. Why was I in that situation in the first place? What put me there? Maybe I was minus on block. Maybe I was in the corner. Run the same analysis on that situation. So what's the payoff here? You get faster. Not at execution, at decision making. The first time I did this method, and the first time I'll do it on a match I'm not familiar with, it'll take me up to 2 hours. 7 games. 2 hours! 2 hours! I know, that sounds like a lot, but here's what happens. The second time takes me maybe 90 minutes, an hour and a half. Third time, an hour. By the 5th time, I could run through this entire process in my head during the match. Because I wasn't guessing anymore. I was calculating. I knew what my opponent's options were. I knew what my counters were. And I knew the risk reward for everything. You start making these decisions faster because you've already thought through the scenarios. You start recognizing the patterns. You start seeing the decision tree before you need it. That's the difference between playing more games and understanding more games. Here's how you actually implement this. Pick one set that you lost. Doesn't matter when, yesterday, last week, I don't care. Doesn't matter, because you got to lose it. Do the full 5-layer analysis on one exchange. Then pick one of those reverse engineered interactions into your next session. Go play, could be ranked, casual, tournament. I don't give a damn. Doesn't matter. When that situation comes up, execute your plan. Maybe it works. Great! Now you have a new tool. Maybe your opponent adapts. Maybe they counter your counter. Maybe you get blown the F up. That's not failure. That's data. Now you know what beats your solution. So go back to the method. What beats their adaptation? What's your counter to their counter? Update your decision tree. Back to training mode. 10 more focus reps on this new branch. You're not grinding, you're engineering. You're refining. The loop is reverse engineer. Pressure test, update, repeat every week. Pick a new loss set. Your decision making compounds like compounding interest. Look, I could keep talking about this method. I could give you more examples. I could break down specific matchups. I could show you some frame data, but you already know everything you need to know. Pick a set. One set. The last one you lost that still bothers you. You got some feelings about. Do it once. Just once. Because I guarantee you, you're going to find something you missed. Something that changes how you think about that matchup, that situation, in that moment. And go reverse engineer something and come back to me and tell me how it went. Good luck.